The research ship Wanderer's Edge moved slowly through the dark space of the void sector. Captain Zethara stood on the bridge, her 4 eyes watching the empty blackness ahead. The blue skin on her forehead showed the worry lines that all Kitherians got when they were thinking hard about danger. "Still nothing on the sensors, Captain," said Officer Vex from his station. His green tentacles moved quickly over the controls. Like all Vorthans, he could feel electrical signals through his skin, making him very good at running ship systems. "Keep scanning," Zethara said. Her voice was calm, but Marcus Chun could hear the worry in it. He had worked with the captain for 3 years now, and he knew her well. Marcus was the only human on the ship. Most crews in this part of the galaxy did not have humans. Humans were still new to space travel compared to the other species. The Kitherians had been exploring space for thousands of years. The Vorthans had built the first faster-than-light engines. Even the rock-like granite people had mapped star systems before humans learned to make fire. But Marcus was good with machines. Very good. He could fix things that other species could not even understand. That was why Captain Zethara had asked him to join her crew. "Marcus," the captain called, "what do you think about these readings?" Marcus walked over to look at the sensor display. The numbers and lines meant something was out there, but not what anyone expected. "The gravity is all wrong here," he said. "Something big is pulling on space itself, really big." The void sector was famous for being the place where ships disappeared. Not just 1 or 2 ships. Hundreds of them over the past 50 years. They would send a message saying everything was fine, then nothing, no distress calls. No wreckage, nothing. Most captains stayed away from this area. But Captain Zethara was not most captains. She wanted to know what happened to those ships. The families of the missing crews deserved to know the truth. "There," said Officer Vex suddenly. His tentacles stopped moving. "I am getting something, very faint." "Put it on the main screen," Zethara ordered. The screen flickered and showed what the sensors had found. At first it looked like just another piece of space debris. But as the computer cleaned up the image, Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. It was a ship. But not like any ship he had ever seen. The vessel was huge. Much bigger than their research ship. Maybe bigger than the largest warships in the galaxy. Its hull was dark, almost black, but it seemed to absorb light in a way that made it hard to look at directly. The shape was wrong too. Most ships were built with straight lines and simple curves. This ship looked almost alive, with flowing lines that seemed to twist and bend even when they were not moving. "By the 7 moons," whispered Dr. Kala, the ship's science officer. She was a Kitherian like the captain, but younger. Her 4 eyes were wide with amazement. "What is that thing?" "Unknown design," Vex reported. "The computer cannot match it to any known ship type. The materials are not in our database either." Marcus stared at the strange ship on the screen. Something about it made his skin crawl. But he could not say why. "Is it giving off any signals?" "No," Vex said. "No power readings. No life signs, no communications. It appears to be completely dead." "Dead things do not stay in one place in space," said Jorik, the security chief. He was one of the granite people, and his rocky skin always made him look angry. "Something is keeping it here." Captain Zethara was quiet for a long moment. Marcus could see her thinking, weighing the risks. Finally she spoke. "We will move closer, slowly, keep all weapons ready, just in case." The Wanderer's Edge crept forward through space. As they got closer, the alien ship became even more impressive and frightening. It was at least 5 kilometers long, with sections that seemed to curve in impossible ways. The hull looked smooth, but there were patterns in it that hurt to look at for too long. "Captain," Dr. Kala said, her voice shaking slightly, "I am reading some very strange things. The gravity field around that ship is not normal. And there are energy patterns that I cannot explain." "What kind of energy patterns?" Zethara asked. "I am not sure. They are very faint, but they seem to be coming from inside the ship, like something is sleeping in there, but still alive." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard stories about ghost ships and cursed vessels, but he had never believed them. Now he was not so sure. Are you getting any idea how old it is? The captain asked. Dr. Kala worked at her station for several minutes. The computer is. Having trouble with the analysis? The materials are not decaying like normal metal or plastic. But based on the way space dust has settled on it, I would guess it has been here for a very long time. Maybe thousands of years, maybe longer. So, it is older than most of our civilizations, Jorik rumbled. That makes it even more dangerous. Or more valuable, Marcus said without thinking. Everyone turned to look at him. He felt his face get red. I mean, think about it. A ship that old with technology we do not recognize. We could learn things that would change everything. Or we could all die, Jorik pointed out. The human has a point, Vex said. If we can study this ship safely, the scientific value would be enormous. Captain Zethara was quiet again. Marcus knew she was thinking about the missing ships. What if this alien vessel was the reason they had disappeared? What if going aboard was exactly what had happened to all those other crews? We will dock with it, she decided finally, but we will take every precaution. Full environmental suits, weapons ready. And we stay in contact with the ship at all times. Captain, Dr. Kala said nervously, are you sure that is wise? We do not know anything. About this vessel, it could be dangerous. Everything in space is dangerous, Zethara replied. But we came here to find answers. That ship might have them. It took 2 hours to get close enough to dock. The alien ship had what looked like an airlock, though it was much larger than anything designed for the species they knew. As their ship connected to it, Marcus felt a strange vibration through the hull. Did anyone else feel that? He asked. Feel what? Vex said, never mind, but Marcus was sure he had felt something. Like the alien ship had noticed them. The airlock cycled normally, which was the first surprise. The air that came through was breathable, which was the second surprise. Dr. Kala ran quick tests and found that it was not just breathable, but perfectly suited for all the species on their crew. That is impossible, she said. How can it have exactly the right mixture for Catherians, Vorthans, Granite people, and humans? It is like it knows we are here. Maybe it does, Marcus said quietly. The boarding party consisted of Captain Zethara, Marcus, Jorik, and Dr. Kala. Vex stayed behind to monitor the ship and keep communication open. They stepped through the airlock and into the alien vessel. The corridor beyond was huge. The ceiling was at least 20 meters high, and the walls curved away into darkness. But as soon as they stepped inside, lights began to come on. Soft, warm lights that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Motion sensors, Jorik said, but he did not sound convinced. The gravity is perfect too, Dr. Kala noted. Exactly what each of us needs. I have never seen technology that can adjust for different species like this. They walked deeper into the ship. The corridors were all the same impossibly large size, with those strange flowing curves that made Marcus feel slightly dizzy. The walls were covered in patterns that looked like writing, but not like any writing he had ever seen. Are you recording all of this? Captain Zethara asked Dr. Kala. Yes, but the equipment is acting strangely. The readings keep changing, like the ship is somehow shifting while we are looking at it. After walking for what felt like hours, they found what had to be the bridge. The room was enormous, like the inside of a cathedral. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above them. In the center of the room was a raised platform with what looked like a control console. Though it was unlike anything any of them had seen, the console was made of the same dark material as the ship's hull, but it seemed to glow with its own internal light. The surface was covered with symbols that seemed to move when Marcus was not looking directly at them. Above the console, holographic displays flickered in and out of existence, showing star charts and mathematical formulas that made his head hurt to look at. This is incredible, Dr. Kala breathed. The technology here is thousands of years ahead of anything we have. Can you interface with it? The captain asked. Dr. Kala approached the console carefully. She pulled out her portable scanner and tried. To connect it to the alien system, nothing happened. She tried her neural interface next, the same technology that let Cytherians control their own ships with their thoughts. Still nothing. It is not responding, she said, frustrated. Jorik stepped forward. His people could communicate with machines through bioelectrical fields. He placed his rocky hands on the console and concentrated. The symbols flickered for a moment, then went still again. Nothing, he said. It is like the system cannot hear us. Marcus looked at the console and felt that strange crawling sensation on his skin again. Without really thinking about it, he stepped forward and placed his palm against the smooth surface. The effect was immediate. Light exploded through the console, racing up and down the strange symbols like lightning. The holographic displays burst into full brightness, showing star charts of the entire galaxy. A deep, harmonic sound filled the air, so low that Marcus felt it in his bones rather than heard it with his ears, and then the ship began to wake up. All around them, lights came on. Not just the soft corridor lights, but brilliant displays and indicators that had been dark for who knew how long. The air itself seemed to thicken with power. Marcus could feel the ship's systems coming online, one by one, like a giant creature stretching after a long sleep. "Marcus," Captain Zathara said, her voice tight with worry. "What did you do?" Marcus stared at his hand, still pressed against the console. The symbols beneath his palm were glowing brighter than the rest, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. "I do not know," he said honestly. "I just touched it." But even as he said it, he knew that was not the whole truth. The ship had not just responded to his touch, it had recognized him. Like it had been waiting for him specifically, the holographic displays shifted, showing new information. Star charts gave way to technical diagrams of the ship itself. Marcus could see that what they had explored was only a tiny fraction of the vessel. Most of it was still hidden in the darkness, waiting. "We need to get back to our ship," Jorik said. "Now?" But as he spoke, Marcus felt something else. A presence in his mind, ancient and vast and patient. The ship was not just awake, it was aware. And it wanted to talk to him. The console pulsed again. And Marcus knew with absolute certainty that their lives had just changed forever, whatever. This ship was, whoever had built it, they had been waiting for a very long time. And now, finally, a human had come home. Marcus kept his hand on the console, afraid to move it. The symbols under his palm were getting brighter, and he could feel something pushing at the edges of his mind. It was not painful, but it was strange. Like someone was trying to talk to him in a language he did not know. "Marcus, step away from that thing," Captain Zathara ordered. Her voice was sharp with fear. "I cannot," Marcus said. I can move my hand, but I think something bad will happen if I do." Dr. Kala was scanning the console with her equipment. "The energy readings are off the charts. Whatever this system is, it is drawing power from somewhere I cannot locate." The holographic displays around them continued to change. Marcus saw maps that showed parts of the galaxy he had never heard of. Then the displays shifted to show technical diagrams of machines that looked like nothing he had ever seen. The math floating in the air above them was so complex that looking at it made his head hurt. "These calculations," Dr. Kala whispered. "They are working on problems we have not even learned how to ask yet." Jorik had his weapon ready, though Marcus was not sure what good it would do against a ship this advanced. "We should leave now, before whatever built this thing comes back." "I do not think they are coming back," Marcus said. The words came out of his mouth before he really thought about them. "I think they are gone, have been gone for a long time." "How do you know that?" Captain Zathara asked. Marcus tried to explain the feeling in his head, but it was hard to put into words. "The ship is lonely. It has been waiting here by itself, hoping someone would come, someone like, He stopped, not sure how to finish. "Someone like what?" the captain pressed. "Someone like me, someone human." Dr. Kala looked up from her scanner. "That does not make sense. Humans are the newest species in space. We have only been traveling between stars for a few hundred years. This ship is thousands of years old." But even as she said it, Marcus knew it was wrong. The feeling in his mind was getting stronger, and with it came images. Not clear pictures, but impressions of things that had happened long ago. He saw humans in space, but not humans like he knew. These humans were different, taller, with eyes that seemed to hold starlight. They moved between worlds like it was nothing, building ships that could cross the galaxy in heartbeats. The humans who built this ship were not like us, Marcus said. Slowly, they were what we used to be, or what we could become. That is impossible, Jorik rumbled. Humans are barely evolved past throwing rocks at each other. The ship seemed to react to that comment. The lights flickered and a new sound filled the air. It was almost like laughter, but deeper and sadder than any laugh Marcus had ever heard. I do not think it found that funny, Dr. Kala said nervously. Marcus pressed his hand more firmly against the console. The connection in his mind grew stronger, and suddenly he could understand more of what the ship was trying to tell him. Images flooded his thoughts. He saw the galaxy as it was millions of years ago, when the first humans left their homeworld and spread to the stars. These ancient humans did not just build ships. They built entire worlds, they moved stars to better positions. They created life on planets that had been dead rocks. And when they were done exploring this galaxy, they found ways to step outside of normal space and time entirely. They transcended, Marcus said, the word coming to him from the ship's memories. The humans who built this ship became something more than physical beings. They went to a higher level of existence. You are talking nonsense, Jorik said. But his voice was uncertain now. Am I? Marcus looked at his friends, trying to make them understand. Think about it. Every species in the galaxy has the same basic body plan. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head on top. Why? What are the chances that evolution would produce the same design on hundreds of different worlds? Dr. Kala went very still. As a scientist, she knew exactly what he was talking about. The odds would be impossible, unless we all came from the same source, Marcus finished. Unless the first humans seeded the galaxy with life based on their own pattern. The ship pulsed with approval, and more images filled Marcus's mind. He saw how the ancient humans had taken their own genetic code and used it as a template to create new forms of life on worlds across the galaxy. The Catherians with their 4 eyes and blue skin. The Vorthans with their tentacles and electrical sensitivity. The granite people with their rock-like skin. All of them were variations on the human form, adapted for different worlds but sharing the same basic foundation. That means all of us are human, Dr. Kala said, her voice barely a whisper. We are all descended from the same species. But why would they do that? Captain Zethara asked. Why spread life across the galaxy and then leave? Marcus felt the answer forming in his mind, but it was too big and terrible to accept at first. They were preparing for something that was coming, something that needed to be fought. The holographic displays changed again, showing images that made everyone step back in fear. Dark shapes moved between the stars, things that seemed to eat light itself. Where they passed, star systems went dark. Entire civilizations simply stopped existing. What are those things? Dr. Kala asked. Devourers, Marcus said, the word coming from the ship's ancient memory banks. They come from the space between galaxies. They do not just destroy matter and energy. They destroy the very idea of existence. Where they pass, it is like things never were at all. The images showed how the ancient humans had tried to fight the Devourers. Their weapons could crack planets and ignite stars, but the Devourers simply absorbed the attacks and grew stronger. Normal matter could not hurt beings that existed partially outside of reality. So the humans ran away? Jorik asked. No, Marcus said. They evolved. They found a way to exist on the same level as the Devourers. They transcended physical reality and went to fight them in the spaces between dimensions. But they left this ship behind, Captain Zethara said. Marcus nodded. As a failsafe. In case the Devourers found this galaxy before the humans could stop them. In case someone would need to fight them using physical weapons. He could feel the ship's systems responding. To his understanding, deep in the vessel's core, weapons that had slept for millions of years were beginning to wake up. He sensed power sources that could feed on the energy of dying stars, shields that could turn aside the force of supernovas, engines that could fold space and time like paper. "This ship is a weapon," he said. "The most powerful weapon ever built. And it will only respond to someone with human genetics." "But you said all of us have human genetics," Dr. Kala pointed out. "Yes, but we have been changed, adapted for different worlds. I am still pure human." The ship recognizes that. As if to prove his point, the console under his hand began to warm up. The symbols were now glowing so brightly that they cast shadows on the far walls. Marcus could feel the ship's central intelligence focusing on him, studying him, deciding if he was worthy of the trust the ancient humans had placed in their creation. "Marcus," Captain Zethara said urgently, "I'm getting a communication from Vex. He says something is happening to our ship." "What kind of something?" Marcus asked, though he already suspected he knew. "The systems are being scanned by something much more advanced than anything we have." Marcus nodded. The ship was checking to make sure they were not a threat. It was also probably learning everything it could about the current state of the galaxy, how much time had passed, how the species it was meant to protect had developed, whether the Devourers had already arrived. "Tell Vex everything is fine," Marcus said. "The ship is just curious about us." "How do you know that?" Jorik demanded. "Because it is telling me." Marcus could feel the ship's vast intelligence touching his mind more directly now. It was not trying to take control of him, but it wanted to share information, show him what he needed to know. The images that came next were recent. Very recent. Marcus saw the edge of the galaxy where the ancient humans had placed sensor stations to watch for the Devourers' return. Those stations had been silent for millions of years. Until now. "Oh no," Marcus whispered. "What?" Captain Zethara asked. "They are coming, the Devourers. They are already here." The holographic display showed readings from the sensor stations. Dark shapes were moving through the outer star systems, consuming everything in their path. Entire worlds were simply ceasing to exist. And they were moving toward the center of the galaxy, where most of the inhabited worlds were located. "How long do we have?" Dr. Kala asked. Marcus concentrated, letting the ship's calculations flow through his mind. "Based on their current speed, they will reach the first major colonies in about 6 months. The core worlds in maybe 2 years. We have to warn everyone," Captain Zethara said. "Get word to the Galactic Council. Prepare the fleets." "It will not matter," Marcus said sadly. "Normal weapons cannot hurt them. The ship is showing me records of the battles the ancient humans fought. Nuclear weapons, plasma cannons, antimatter bombs. Nothing worked. The Devourers just absorbed the energy and got stronger." "Then what can we do?" the captain asked. Marcus looked around at his friends, these people who had become like family to him over the years of working together. "The ship wants me to become its captain, to link with its systems completely, to use its weapons against the Devourers. What would that mean for you?" Dr. Kala asked quietly. "I do not know," Marcus admitted. "The ship is not being clear about that part, but I get the feeling that once I fully connect with it, I will not be quite human anymore." "Not in the way I am now," Jorik stepped forward. "That is too much to ask of anyone. There has to be another way." "Maybe there is," Marcus said, "but we would need to find it fast. And we would need to convince the entire galaxy to work together. Every species, every government. And even then we might fail." The ship pulsed again, and Marcus felt a new sensation. Impatience. The ancient weapon had been waiting for millions of years to fulfill its purpose. It did not want to wait any longer. "I need time to think," Marcus said. "How much time do we have?" Captain Zethara asked. Marcus consulted the ship's sensors again. "The leading edge of the Devourer fleet will reach the outer colonies in 6 months. But there are scout forces moving ahead of the main group. They could be here much sooner." "Define here," Jorik said. "This sector. The area where we are right now, maybe a few weeks. Dr. Kala was studying her scanner again. Marcus, I am reading some very strange things from your body. Your brain activity is off the charts, and there seems to be some kind of energy field building up around you. Marcus looked down at his hand on the console. The skin was glowing faintly, the same light that came from the symbols beneath his palm. The ship is changing me just by being connected to it. Getting me ready? Ready for what? Captain Zethara asked. To be what the ancient humans were. To be able to control technology that exists partially outside normal space and time. The thought scared him. Marcus had always been good with machines, but this was something completely different. This was about becoming part machine himself, about giving up his humanity to save humanity. We should go back to our ship, the captain decided. Report what we have found. Let the experts decide what to do. There are no experts for this, Marcus said. There's no one alive who knows how to fight the Devourers except this ship, and it will only work with me. But he lifted his hand from the console anyway. The moment his palm lost contact with the surface, the lights dimmed. The holographic displays faded. The sense of vast intelligence touching his mind pulled back, though it did not disappear completely. It is still connected to me, Marcus said. Even without touching the console, I can feel it in my head. Is that dangerous? Dr. Kala asked. I do not think so. It feels more like it is just staying close, in case I need to call on it quickly. They made their way back through the huge corridors to their airlock. The ship's lights stayed on as they walked, but Marcus could tell that most of its systems had gone back to sleep, waiting for him to return and make his decision. As they stepped back onto the Wanderer's Edge, Vex looked up from his station with relief. I was starting to worry. The alien ship was scanning us very thoroughly. I was afraid it might decide we were a threat. It was just learning about us, Captain Zethara said. We need to get back to the nearest starbase as quickly as possible. What we found here changes everything. But Marcus was not thinking about starbases or reports to superiors. He was thinking about the images the ship had shown him. The Devourers consuming star systems. The desperate battles fought by the ancient humans. The terrible weapons that would soon be his to command. And he was thinking about time. 6 months until the outer colonies fell. Maybe only weeks until the scout forces arrived in this sector. Time to make a choice that would determine the fate of every living thing in the galaxy. As the Wanderer's Edge pulled away from the ancient ship, Marcus felt the connection in his mind stretch but not break. The ship was patient. It had waited millions of years. It could wait a little longer, but not much longer. The journey back to Starbase Omega took 3 days. During those 3 days, Marcus did not sleep well. Every time he closed his eyes, he could feel the ancient ship calling to him across the empty space. It was not demanding or angry. It was patient, like an old friend waiting for him to make up his mind. But the connection was getting stronger. Dr. Kala noticed it first. Marcus, your brain scans are still showing unusual activity. The patterns are unlike anything I have seen before. I feel fine, Marcus said, though that was not entirely true. He felt different, more aware of things around him. He could sense the electrical systems of their ship humming in the walls. He knew exactly where they were in space without looking at the navigation charts. You are changing, Dr. Kala said quietly. Whatever that ship did to you, it is still happening. Captain Zethara called a meeting in the conference room. The entire crew was there, all 6 of them. They were the only people in the galaxy who knew what was coming. We need to decide what to do, the captain said. Do we report this to the Starbase Command? Do we contact the Galactic Council? Or do we go back to that ship and let Marcus do what it wants? We have to tell someone, said Vex. This is too big for us to handle alone. Tell them what? Asked Jorik. That an ancient human ship is going to fight monsters from outside the galaxy? They will think we are crazy. We have recordings, Dr. Kala pointed out. Video of the ship? Scans of the technology. Recordings can be faked, said Lieutenant Sarah, their pilot. She was human like Marcus, but younger. Without proof that anyone can verify, they will not believe us. Marcus had been quiet during the discussion, but now he spoke up. It does not matter if they believe us or not. Even if they do believe us, what can they do? The ship showed me. What normal weapons do against the Devourers? Nothing. So you think we should go back? Captain Zathara asked. I think we need to learn more, Marcus said carefully. The ship has information about the Devourers. Their weaknesses, if they have any, how they fight. What they want? And you are the only one who can access that information, Dr. Kala said. Marcus nodded. The ship will only talk to me. That night, Marcus dreamed of stars dying. He saw the Devourers moving through space like a dark tide, consuming everything in their path. They were not just destroying matter and energy, they were unmaking the very concept of existence. Where they passed, it was as if things had never been. He woke up in a cold sweat and found that the lights in his cabin were flickering in rhythm with his heartbeat. The ship's computer was trying to tell him something, but it could not find the words. Then he heard it. A voice in his mind, ancient and vast and patient. Come back to us, young one. There's much you need to know. It was the ancient ship calling to him across the light years. The connection was so strong now that distance did not matter. Marcus got dressed and went to the bridge. Captain Zathara was there, unable to sleep, bad dreams. She asked, You could say that. Marcus looked at the navigation display. They were still 2 days from Starbase Omega. Captain, I need to ask you something. If I go back to that ship and do what it wants, will you support my decision? Zathara was quiet for a long time. Marcus, you are talking about giving up your humanity to become some kind of living weapon? How can I support that? Because if I do not do it, everyone dies, Marcus said simply. Every person on every world in the galaxy. The Devourers do not just kill people. They erase them from existence entirely, like they never lived at all. You do not know that for certain. Yes, I do. Marcus touched the navigation console, and immediately the display changed to show the outer edge of the galaxy. The ship is still showing me things. The Devourer scouts are moving faster than we thought. They have already consumed 12 star systems. Captain Zathara stared at the display in horror. 12 systems? That is millions of people. Billions. Marcus corrected, and it is just the beginning. The display zoomed in on one of the affected systems. Where there had once been a star and 6 planets, there was now only empty space. Not debris, not ruins, nothing at all. How is that possible? Zathara whispered. The Devourers exist partially outside normal reality, Marcus explained. They can reach into our dimension and simply decide that things do not exist anymore. Matter, energy, even the basic forces that hold atoms together, all of it just stops being. And this ancient ship can fight them? It was built specifically to fight them. Its weapons exist on the same level that the Devourers do. It can hurt them. Captain Zathara studied the empty space where an entire star system used to be, but you would have to become something other than human to use it. Maybe the ship is not clear about that part, but even if I stay human, I would be changed. Connected to technology that is millions of years beyond anything we understand. Would you still be you? Marcus thought about that question for a long time. I do not know. But if I do not try, there will not be a me left to worry about. There will not be anyone left at all. The next morning, Dr. Kala brought Marcus more. Test results. Your cellular structure is changing, she said. Very slowly, but definitely changing. The DNA in your cells is being rewritten. Rewritten how? I am not sure. The new sequences do not match anything in our genetic databases, but they are clearly artificial. Someone or something is modifying your genetic code. The ship is preparing. Marcus said. Getting me ready to interface with its systems. This could kill you, Dr. Kala warned. Or turn you into something that is not human anymore. Something that is more than human, Marcus said. Like the original humans who built the ship. You are talking about evolution. But evolution takes millions of years. Not if you have technology that can manipulate matter at the atomic level. The ship showed me how the ancient humans changed themselves. They did not just build better tools, they became better tools. That afternoon, they received a priority message from Starbase Command. 3 more star systems at the galaxy's edge had gone dark. All contact had been lost. 15 systems now, Captain Zethara said grimly. At this rate, they will reach the core worlds in months, not years. We have to go back, Marcus said. We have to go back to the ship now. The starbase is expecting us, Vex pointed out. If we do not arrive on schedule, they will send search parties. Then we tell them we found something that requires further investigation, the captain decided. Marcus is right. We are running out of time. The Wanderer's edge changed course, heading back toward the void sector. As they got closer to the ancient ship, Marcus could feel the connection in his mind growing stronger. Images flashed through his thoughts. Technical diagrams of weapons that could crack moons. Engines that could move faster than light by stepping outside of time entirely, and something else. A presence that felt almost human, but infinitely old and wise. Who are you? Marcus asked the presence in his mind. I am what remains of the one who built this vessel, came the reply. The last echo of humanity's greatest engineer. I have been waiting for one of my kind to return. But the humans transcended. They moved beyond physical existence. Most did. But I chose to stay behind, to guide whoever would inherit our greatest weapon, to make sure the fight against the Devourers would continue. Marcus felt a chill. You have been alone in that ship for millions of years? Time has little meaning when you exist partially outside normal space. But yes, I have been alone. Waiting. For someone with pure human genetics to take up the burden I could no longer carry. What burden? The burden of being the galaxy's protector. Of having the power to save or destroy entire civilizations. Of making choices that will determine whether life continues to exist or is erased from reality forever. When they reached the ancient ship, it was different. Before, it had been dark and silent. Now it was clearly active. Lights moved along its hull in complex patterns. Energy readings were off the charts. It knows we are coming, Dr. Kala said. It knows I am coming, Marcus corrected. This time, when they docked, the airlock opened before they even finished connecting. The ship was welcoming them back. Marcus led the way through the corridors, following a route that he somehow knew without having walked it before. The ship was guiding him, showing him things he had not seen on their first visit. They'd passed chambers filled with technology that made their most advanced computers look like stone tools. They saw weapon systems that could fire beams of pure force across interstellar distances. They walked through manufacturing bays where the ship could build anything it needed from basic atomic particles. This single ship could take on an entire fleet, Jorik said in amazement. It was designed to take on something much worse than a fleet, Marcus replied. They reached the bridge again, but this time Marcus did not hesitate. He walked straight to the central console and placed both hands on its surface. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Light exploded through the chamber. Holographic. Displays filled the air, showing real-time images of the Devourer advance. The harmonic sound that had frightened them before now sounded like music, and Marcus felt the ship's full intelligence touch his mind. It was like standing in front of a waterfall of information. The ship downloaded millions of years of data directly into his brain. He learned about weapons that could destroy matter by convincing it to stop existing. Shields that worked by moving the ship slightly out of phase with normal reality. Engines that could fold spacetime like origami. But more than that, he learned about the Devourers themselves. They were not truly alive in any sense that most species would understand. They were concepts given form. The idea of entropy made manifest. They came from the spaces between realities where the laws of physics broke down and anything was possible. They had no goal beyond consumption. They did not hate or love or want anything except to feed. They consumed reality itself, growing stronger with every star system they devoured. How do we fight them? Marcus asked. With weapons that exist on their level, the ancient presence replied. with tools that can manipulate the basic laws of reality. But such weapons require a mind that can exist partially outside normal space-time. A mind like yours? A mind like mine once was? But I am just an echo now. You must become what I was. What all the ancient humans were. Marcus felt the ship's systems reaching deeper into his mind, changing him at the most fundamental level. His DNA was being rewritten in real time. His brain was being rewired to process information at superhuman speeds. "Marcus!" Dr. Kala called out. "Your vital signs are spiking." But Marcus barely heard her. He was too busy becoming something new. Something that was still human, but human the way the ancients had been, enhanced, evolved, capable of wielding power that could reshape reality itself. The process was not painful, but it was overwhelming. Marcus felt his consciousness expanding, touching systems throughout the massive ship. He could sense every circuit, every weapon, every engine. The vessel was becoming an extension of his own body, and with that expansion came knowledge. He could see the Devourer fleet in perfect detail now. He knew their exact numbers, their capabilities, their intended targets. They were already closer than anyone realized. "Captain," Marcus said, his voice somehow different now, "the scouts will be here in 3 days. The main fleet will arrive in 6 weeks. Here?" Captain Zethara asked. "You mean in this sector?" "I mean, in this system. They know about the ship. They are coming to destroy it before it can be used." Against them. The ancient ship began to move for the first time in millions of years. Not through space, but through the deeper currents that existed beneath normal reality. Marcus felt the vessel's weapons coming online, systems that had been dormant since the dawn of galactic civilization. "What are you doing?" Dr. Kala asked. Marcus turned to look at his friends, and they stepped back in shock. His eyes were now filled with starlight, just like the ancient humans in the ship's memories. "I am preparing for war," he said. Marcus could see everything now, not just with his eyes, but with senses he had never known he possessed. Through the ancient ship's sensors, he watched the dark shapes moving between the stars. The Devourer scouts were closer than he had first realized. They moved through space in ways that hurt to observe directly, stepping in and out of normal reality like predators stalking their prey. "How many are coming?" Captain Zethara asked. Marcus did not need to check the displays. The information flowed directly into his mind from the ship's vast sensor network. 12 scout vessels in the first wave. They will arrive in 36 hours. Behind them, the main fleet carries over 300 Devourer ships. 300, Dr. Kala whispered. "Can this ship fight that many?" "This ship was built to fight thousands," Marcus replied. "But that was when there were hundreds of ships like this one, with crews who understood how to use them properly." The ancient presence in his mind stirred. "You understand more than you realize, young captain. The knowledge of your ancestors flows in your blood, trust it." Marcus felt the ship's weapon systems responding to his thoughts. In the deepest parts of the vessel, weapons that had slept for millions of years began to charge with power drawn from the fabric of space itself. These were not weapons that fired bullets or energy beams. They were tools that could reach into the foundations of reality and change the rules. "We need to get the rest of the crew back to our ship," Marcus said. "What happens next is going to be dangerous. What about you?" Captain Zethara asked. Marcus looked down at his hands. They were still human, but he could see energy patterns flowing beneath his skin. "I cannot leave. I am connected to the ship now. If I go too far from it, the connection will break and the weapons will shut down." "Then we stay with you." The captain decided. "No," Marcus said firmly. "Your ship needs to get away from here and warn the galaxy about what is coming. Someone has to tell them about the Devourers." "They will not believe us without proof," Jorik pointed out. "Then bring them proof." Marcus gestured to the holographic displays around them. "Record everything. Show them the sensor readings. Make them understand that this is not some isolated threat." Dr. Kala was still scanning Marcus with her portable equipment. "Your biological readings are impossible now. Your brain is processing information at rates that should kill you. Your cellular structure is unlike anything I have ever seen. I am becoming what I need to be, Marcus said. What the ancient humans were. Through the ship's sensors, he could feel the approaching scouts. They were not just ships in the normal sense. They were extensions of the Devourers themselves, creatures of living entropy that fed on the destruction of reality. As they moved through space, they left trails of nothingness behind them. Stars went dark not because they were destroyed, but because the very concept of their existence was being eaten away. They know we are here, Marcus announced. The scouts have detected the ship's activation. They are changing course to intercept. So, how long do we have? Captain Zethara asked. Marcus consulted the ship's tactical systems. 28 hours. But that gives me time to learn how to use these weapons properly. The ancient presence laughed, a sound like wind through empty spaces. There is no time to learn, young one. You must trust the knowledge that is already within you. Marcus closed his eyes and let his consciousness expand further into the ship's systems. He could feel every circuit, every power conduit, every weapon array. The vessel was enormous, but it felt like an extension of his own body now. When he thought about moving, the ship's position shifted slightly. When he focused on a particular system, it responded to his will. This is incredible, he said. I can control the entire ship just by thinking about it. That is how the ancient humans built their technology, Dr. Kala observed. Direct mental interface. No controls, no computers as we understand them, just pure thought controlling matter. We really need to go, Vex said nervously. He was monitoring the communications from their own ship. Starbase Command is asking for our location. If we do not respond soon, they will send search vessels. Good, Captain Zethara said. Let them come. When they see what we have found here, they will have to believe us. No, Marcus said sharply. Any ship that comes here will be destroyed. The Devourers do not just attack military targets. They consume everything. If there are more people here when the scouts arrive, more people will die. Then what do you suggest? The captain asked. Marcus thought for a moment, consulting the tactical data flowing through his mind. Take your ship and jump to the nearest inhabited system. Send out emergency broadcasts on all frequencies. Tell them about the Devourers. Tell them what is coming. And tell them to evacuate the outer colonies immediately. What about you? I will fight the scouts here. If I can destroy them, it might buy us time before the main fleet arrives. And if you cannot destroy them? Dr. Kala asked quietly. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then at least I will learn something about how they fight. Information that might help when more ships like this one are awakened? More ships? Captain Zethara looked confused. You said this was the only one. This is the only one in this sector, Marcus corrected. But the ancient humans built others. They are hidden throughout the galaxy, waiting for humans to find them and wake them up. Through the ship's long-range sensors, Marcus could detect faint signals from other vessels like his own. They were dormant, but they were there, waiting for the call to battle. How many others? The captain asked. I am not sure. The network is vast, but most of the ships are too far away to activate quickly. Maybe a dozen that I can reach in time to matter. Marcus reached out with his enhanced mind, sending signals across the galaxy to the sleeping weapons. Most were too distant to respond. But 3 ships answered his call. Ancient vessels that had waited in the darkness for millions of years, guarded by automated systems that recognized his genetic signature. 3 more ships are awakening, he reported, but it will take them time to reach us. We are on our own. For the first battle, Captain Zethara made her decision. We will go, but Marcus, promise me something. Do not throw your life away on a hopeless fight. If you cannot win, retreat. Find another way. There is no retreat from this, Marcus said. The Devourers do not negotiate. They do not take prisoners. They consume everything in their path. If I do not stop them here, they will follow you go. The crew of the Wanderer's Edge gathered their equipment and prepared to leave. As they walked back through the ancient ship's corridors, Marcus felt a strange sadness. These people had become his family over the years they had worked together. Now he was sending them away, possibly forever. "Marcus," Dr. Kala said before. They reached the airlock. "For what it is worth, I think you are doing the right thing. The galaxy needs someone willing to make hard choices." "I hope I am still human enough to make good choices," Marcus replied. After his friends left, Marcus was alone on the ancient ship except for the presence in his mind. The vessel felt different without other people aboard, larger, somehow, more alien. "It is natural to feel isolated," the ancient presence said. "Power always separates those who wield it from those they protect." "Were you lonely?" Marcus asked. "During all those millions of years waiting?" "Loneliness is a small price to pay for purpose, and you will not be alone for long. The enemy comes." Marcus returned to the bridge and settled into the captain's chair. It had reformed itself to fit his body perfectly, growing neural interfaces that connected directly to his spine. Through these connections, he became truly one with the ship. The sensation was overwhelming at first. He could feel the massive engines humming with power. He could sense the weapon arrays charging with energies that existed outside normal spacetime. He could perceive space itself in ways that human senses were never designed to handle. But gradually he adapted. The enhanced genetics that the ship had given him allowed him to process information at superhuman rates. What should have driven him insane instead became as natural as breathing. Through the ship's sensors, he watched his friend's vessel jump to faster than light speed. They were safe, at least for now. That was all that mattered. "Now we prepare for war," the ancient presence said. The next 24 hours passed in intensive preparation. Marcus learned to use weapons that could fire across interstellar distances. He practiced with shields that worked by shifting the ship slightly out of phase with normal reality. He studied tactical manuals that described battles fought between dimensions. Most importantly, he learned about the Devourers themselves. They were not just random destroyers. They had tactics, strategies, weaknesses. They could be fought if you knew how. They exist partially outside normal space, the ancient presence explained. That makes them nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. But it also means they cannot fully interact with our reality. They must anchor themselves to something physical in order to feed. Anchor themselves how? Usually by possessing or corrupting existing matter. They take control of asteroids, dead planets, sometimes even living ships. These anchors allow them to exist fully in our dimension, but they also make them vulnerable. Marcus studied the tactical data, learning to recognize the signs of Devourer possession. When they took control of physical matter, they left distinctive energy signatures, patterns that the ancient humans had learned to detect and target. The key is to destroy their anchors before they can establish a foothold in normal space, the presence continued. Force them to exist purely in the dimensional void, where they cannot feed or reproduce. 6 hours before the scouts were due to arrive, the ship's long-range sensors detected something unexpected. Another vessel was approaching, but it was not a Devourer. It was human-built, though using technology far more advanced than anything Marcus had seen before. "That is impossible," he said. "There are no human ships in this sector." But as the vessel came closer, Marcus realized his mistake. It was human-built, but it was ancient. Another ship from the time of the first humans, awakened by his call across the galaxy. The vessel was smaller than Marcus's ship, sleeker and more elegant. As it approached, he received a communication on frequencies that had not been used for millions of years. "Greetings, young captain," came a voice that sounded almost human but infinitely old. "I am the Guardian of the Rim, last defender of the outer territories. I felt your call and came to aid in the battle." "You have a crew?" Marcus asked. "I am the crew," the voice replied. "Like you, I have become one with my ship. We are the last echoes of humanity's greatest age." Marcus felt relief flood through him. He would not face the Devourers alone after all. How many others answered the call? 2 more are coming, but they are still days away. For now, it is just us against the scouts. Through his sensors, Marcus could see the approaching vessel clearly now. It was beautiful in its alien perfection, flowing lines that seemed to dance through space. Like his own ship, it existed partially outside normal reality, making it nearly impossible for conventional sensors to track. "What is your ship's capability?" Marcus asked. "I am designed for precision strikes against dimensional targets," the Guardian replied. "Fast, maneuverable, heavily armed. Your vessel is the siege engine, mine is the scalpel." Together they began planning their defense. 2 ancient ships against 12 Devourer scouts. The odds were not good, but they were better than Marcus facing them alone. As the final hours counted down, Marcus felt a strange calm settle over him. The transformation was complete now. He was no longer entirely human, but he was not entirely machine either. He was something new. Something that existed at the intersection of flesh and technology, of past and future. The Devourers were coming. But humanity's greatest weapons were awake and ready to fight. The war for the galaxy was about to begin. The Devourer scouts arrived exactly when Marcus expected them to. They did not come from normal space. Instead, they tore holes in reality itself and stepped through from the dark spaces between dimensions. Marcus felt them before he saw them. Through his connection to the ancient ship, he could sense the wrongness they brought with them. They were tears in the fabric of existence, wounds that bled entropy into normal space. 12 contacts confirmed, he reported to the Guardian of the Rim. They are establishing anchor points on the asteroids in the outer system. "I see them," the Guardian replied. "They are using the same tactics they employed millions of years ago. Some things never change." Through his enhanced senses, Marcus watched the Devourers work. Dark energy flowed from their vessels into the dead rocks of the asteroid belt. Where that energy touched, the asteroids began to change. Their matter became something else, something that existed partially outside normal reality. "They are building a foothold," Marcus said. "If we let them finish, they will be able to bring more ships through. Then we do not let them finish." The Guardian said simply. The 2 ancient ships moved toward the asteroid belt. Marcus's vessel, the Humanity's Echo, was massive and powerful. The Guardian's ship was smaller but faster. Dancing through space with impossible grace, as they approached, the Devourer scouts turned their attention toward them. Marcus felt their alien awareness focusing on him like a cold wind. They recognized what his ship was. They knew it was dangerous. The first attack came without warning. One of the possessed asteroids suddenly blazed with dark fire, shooting beams of entropy toward Marcus's ship. The beams were not made of matter or energy. They were streams of pure nothingness, designed to unmake whatever they touched, but the ancient ship was ready. Shields that existed partially outside normal space deflected the attack. The beams of nothingness struck the shields and simply scattered, unable to find purchase in reality. "Their weapons are strong," Marcus observed, "but they work on the same principles they always have. The ancient humans learned to fight them for a reason," the Guardian replied. "Now let us show them why their kind feared us." Marcus's ship fired its first shot. The weapon was unlike anything used by modern civilizations. It did not fire matter or energy. Instead, it reached into the fundamental forces that held atoms together and convinced them to change their minds. The beam struck the possessed asteroid and the rock simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized. It was as if it had never been there at all. The devourer that had possessed it found itself with no anchor in normal space. Without a physical form to inhabit, it could not maintain its presence in this dimension. "One down," Marcus said, but the other scouts were learning. They spread out, making themselves harder to target. Some of them began merging their possessed asteroids together, creating larger and more stable anchors. Others started moving toward the planets in the inner system, seeking better hosts. "They are adapting," the Guardian warned. "We need to stop them before they reach anything inhabited." The battle became a deadly dance through the asteroid belt. Marcus's ship was powerful but slow. The Guardian's vessel was fast but more fragile. Together, they had to prevent 12 Devourer scouts from establishing a permanent foothold in normal space. Marcus learned quickly that fighting the Devourers was unlike any other kind of combat. These were not enemies you could reason with or frighten. They had no fear, no anger, no desires beyond consumption. They were entropy given form, and they would not stop until everything in existence had been fed to the void. The second asteroid died under the combined fire of both ancient ships. But by then, the Devourers had reached the inner system. One of them found a dead moon orbiting the fourth planet and began the possession process. "That moon is too large," the Guardian said. "If it becomes fully possessed, the anchor will be strong enough to bring through a dozen more scouts." Marcus pushed his ship's engines to their limits. The vessel responded by stepping partially outside normal space-time, covering the distance to the inner system in moments that felt like hours, but he was too late. The moon was already changing, its surface becoming something that hurt to look at directly. Dark energy pulsed from its core like a diseased heartbeat. "The possession is almost complete," Marcus said. "In a few more minutes, they will be able to open a permanent gateway." "Then we do not give them a few more minutes," the Guardian replied. Both ships fired at once. Marcus's weapons tore into the possessed moon, trying to disrupt the possession before it could be completed. The Guardian's more precise weapons targeted the specific points where the Devourer's energy was strongest. For a moment, it looked like they might succeed. The dark energy flickered and wavered. The moon's surface began to return to normal rock. An ice dot, then the other Devourer scouts arrived to defend their companion. 11 beams of pure entropy struck at the ancient ships from different directions. Marcus felt his shields buckle under the assault. Alarms that had not sounded for millions of years began to wail throughout his vessel. "Shields down to 60%, he reported. "They are coordinating their attacks. They are also learning from our tactics," the Guardian added. "Each shot they fire is more precisely targeted than the last." The battle became desperate. Marcus and the Guardian fought with weapons that could unmake reality itself, while the Devourers tried to complete their possession of the moon. Each side was racing against time. If the moon fell completely under Devourer control, the gateway would open and hundreds more scouts would pour through. But if the ancient ships could disrupt the possession, the scouts would be forced back into the void between dimensions. Marcus felt his ship take a direct hit. The beam of entropy tore through his shields and struck the hull. For a terrifying moment, part of his vessel simply stopped existing. The sensation was like having a limb amputated, sudden and shocking, but the ship's self-repair systems activated immediately. Matter flowed from hidden reserves to replace what had been lost. The hull reformed itself as if the damage had never happened. "Impressive," the ancient presence in his mind commented. "You are learning to fight like your ancestors did." "I am learning to survive," Marcus corrected. The tide of battle turned when the Guardian made a desperate gambit. Instead of fighting the possessed moon directly, the smaller ship dove into the asteroid belt and began destroying the anchors that the other scouts were using without their physical anchors. The scouts found themselves pulled back toward the void. They tried to fight the dimensional current, but they needed matter to exist in normal space. As their anchors were destroyed one by one, their ability to maintain coherent forms began to fail. "Brilliant," Marcus said. "Cut off their supply lines." With most of the scouts struggling to maintain their existence in normal space, Marcus was able to focus all his firepower on the possessed moon. His weapons tore into the satellite's core, disrupting the possession at its source. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The dark energy that had been flowing through the moon suddenly reversed direction. Instead of changing the satellite into something alien, it began eating away at the devourer that had possessed it. The scout let out a sound that was not quite a scream. It was the sound of entropy consuming itself, of nothingness feeding on void. The possessed moon cracked apart, but instead of debris, only empty space was left behind. "The gateway anchor is destroyed," the Guardian reported. "The main fleet will not be able to use this system as an entry point." But the battle was not over. 3 Devourer scouts had managed to find new anchors in the outer system. They were weaker now, but still dangerous. Marcus and the Guardian hunted them down methodically. The ancient ships had learned the scouts' tactics, and the scouts had no new tricks to try. One by one, the remaining Devourers were forced back into the dimensional void. When the last scout was destroyed, Marcus felt a strange emptiness. The battle was over, but he knew it was only the beginning. This had been just a scouting force. The main Devourer fleet was still coming. How long before they arrive? The Guardian asked. Marcus consulted his ship's sensors. 4 weeks, maybe 5, but they will send more scouts first. Larger groups, they know we are here now. Then we need to be ready for them. Over the next few days, 2 more ancient ships arrived in response to Marcus's call. The Void Stalker, designed for long-range combat, and the Starforge, a massive vessel that could manufacture new weapons and ships using raw stellar material. Marcus found himself in command of a small fleet of humanity's greatest weapons. Ships that had waited millions of years for this moment. Vessels that existed at the intersection of technology and transcendence. But even with 4 ancient ships, Marcus knew they would not be enough to stop the main Devourer fleet. They needed more. They needed the galaxy to wake up and fight. We have to warn them, Marcus said during a meeting of the ship's artificial intelligences. All the species, all the governments, they need to know what is coming. They will not believe, the Guardian pointed out. Most species have forgotten that humanity ever existed. They think they evolved independently. Then we make them believe, Marcus decided. He sent messages across the galaxy, transmitted on frequencies that every spacefaring civilization monitored. The messages contained sensor data from the battle, detailed scans of Devourer technology, and mathematical proofs that could not be faked. The response was immediate and panicked. Within hours, emergency sessions were called in every major government. Fleets were mobilized. Scientists worked around the clock to verify the data. And slowly, reluctantly, the galaxy began to believe. Captain Zethara's report to Starbase Command had been the first warning. Now, with proof that could not be denied, the galactic community finally understood the threat they faced. But understanding and being able to fight were two different things. Our weapons are useless against them, came a message from the Catherian Fleet Command. We need better technology. We can provide that, Marcus replied. But you need to send ships here. We can upgrade your vessels, but they have to come to us. It was a risk. If the Devourers attacked while the galaxy's fleets were gathered, in one system the entire military force could be destroyed. But it was the only way to give them a fighting chance. Ships began arriving within days. First a few dozen, then hundreds, then thousands. Every major species sent their best vessels. Even civilizations that had been at war with each other put aside their differences to face the common threat. Marcus found himself in a position he had never expected. He was the coordinator of the galaxy's defense, the one person who understood both the enemy and the weapons needed to fight them. Working. With the Starforge, he began upgrading the gathered fleets. Weapons that could target dimensional anchors. Shields that existed partially outside normal space. Engines that could step between realities. It was not enough to make the modern ships equal to the ancient ones, but it gave them a chance. The main fleet will arrive in 2 weeks, Marcus announced to the assembled captains. We will have over 5,000 ships by then. Not all of them will survive the battle, but if we fight smart, some of us will. And if we lose? Asked Admiral Corvash of the Vorthan Navy. Marcus looked out at the fleet that filled the star system, ships from 100 different worlds united in common cause. If we lose, there will be no one left to remember that we tried. The wait was the hardest part. 2 weeks of preparation, of training, of saying goodbye to loved ones across the galaxy. Marcus spent the time learning more about his ship's capabilities, discovering weapons and defenses that the ancient humans had built for battles beyond imagination. When the Devourer fleet finally arrived, it was larger than anyone had expected. 300 ships that existed at the boundary between reality and void. Vessels that could unmake entire star systems with their mere presence. But they were met by 5,000 ships crewed by every thinking species in the galaxy. Ancient human technology merged with modern courage. The the descendants of humanity's lost children finally remembering their heritage. The battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin. And for the first time since the Devourers had appeared, Marcus felt something he had almost forgotten: hope.